Nestle has been in Sri Lanka for over 100 years. We have been committed to enhancing the lives of the local community since the very beginning.
We purchase hundreds of thousands of litres of milk from 18,000 farmers every day.
Committed to increasing fresh milk production in Sri Lanka, we help local dairy farmers produce milk that meets our high-quality standards.
Nestle, empowering Sri Lankan dairy farmers.
A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News live from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Madhushka Balasuriya.
And I'm Nicola D'Souza. We start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Low depression in the southeast of the Bay of Bengal. Fishermen strongly advised against fishing. Requests made to Bangladesh and Myanmar to provide safe haven to Sri Lankan fishermen stranded at sea. Jailers stay off work crippling transportation of inmates to courts. Bail application rejected. Jayalalitha Jayaram returns to prison. 2015 budget to be taken up in Parliament on the 24th of this month.
The Met Department notes that a low-pressure system has developed in the southwest of the Bay of Bengal. The department adds that this system may affect the weather in the deep and shallow sea areas off the eastern coast of the island in the coming days.
That's right. Given the situation, permission has been sought for Sri Lankan fishermen aboard approximately 36 vessels to enter Myanmar.
Fishermen who were fishing in international waters informed this communication centre in Dikwala last evening of the low-pressure system developing in the southwest of the Bay of Bengal. According to this website, it has been confirmed by the skippers. Fishermen stranded out at sea and the fishermen on shore are forecasting the conditions with the help of this website. We are carrying out a service in providing support and advice to these fishermen from our residences. Following the notification, fishing vessels in proximity to the danger zone were referred to secure locations. Myanmar happened to be the closest safe location for a majority of these fishermen. About 36 vessels were referred to safe locations in close proximity to Myanmar. According to the fishermen, there are about 180 fishermen on these boats. Speaking via satellite communications with the communication centre in Dikwala, the fishermen recounted the experience. Meanwhile, 3 vessels which approached Myanmar were seized by authorities there.
3 boats were seized by Myanmar's forces and brought to the harbour. About 20 boats are at sea and are approaching. We have been informed officially and we have asked for reports from the Ministry of External Affairs. When they submit the reports, we can get them released.
At about 2 p.m. this afternoon, it was reported that the Department of Fisheries had sought permission from Bangladesh and Myanmar for the fishermen and their boats to be granted safe haven there.
A disturbance has arisen in the Bay of Bengal. It is not a major situation, but for some reason, about 30 to 40 vessels which set out from the south had been fishing there. We requested that they be given safe haven in Bangladesh and Myanmar if they are forced to make port there. The request was made through our ambassadors there. The request was made via the Ministry of External Affairs yesterday as well as today.
The Sri Lanka Navy meanwhile says it has requested the Bangladesh and Myanmar Coast Guards to look into the whereabouts of the Sri Lankan fishermen following the storm.
We have informed them that they are coming that way because of the weather anomaly. Otherwise, they will be arrested. However, yesterday the Met Department noted that there was no such anomaly. They must inform us when there is a change in the weather. So we have requested that they be granted safe haven owing to the adverse weather. We cannot say what will happen to the 3 boats that were seized because at that time there was no notification about the adverse weather. As this system develops, winds will start going in that direction. As a result, strong winds may be experienced in sea areas around the island. Winds could intensify to up to 60 kilometers per hour. Seas could be rough as a result. There is no problem at present, but there is the imminent possibility of rough seas.
In light of this tragic circumstance, Newsfirst staff engaged in multi-faith religious observances, praying for the safe return of the Sri Lankan fishermen at sea.
Meanwhile, the Met Department notes that the low-pressure system developing in the Bay of Bengal could cause rains in several parts of the island.
The highest rainfall of 41.5 millimeters in the 8 hours ending at 4 o'clock this afternoon was reported from Tawalamagol. 41 millimeters of rainfall fell in Colombo district since this morning. Rainfall in Katunaika was reported to be 20.5 millimeters, while Ratmalanu received 19.5 millimeters of rainfall.
It has a spiraling nature. These are the cloud formations. These are the wind currents being drawn to that location. We expect that this system will move northwest from here. It will not come towards Sri Lanka. Thereby, there is no cause for panic. This could develop further and turn into a cyclone, but our worry is the winds that are coming in. These winds will bring showers to southwest parts of the island. Rains will be experienced in the central, Sabaragamuwa and western provinces, and in the Gaul and Mathura districts with heavy showers in the mornings.
An earth embankment collapsed on a house in Paraduwa, Akurasa today. A tree fell on a van in Udugamu, Gaul. Meanwhile, earth and rocks that fell on the main road near the 18th mile post in Udagama, Gaul was removed this evening.
In other local news, jailers of the Walikada, Colombo Remand and Magazine prisons commenced a strike action today, citing a number of demands. As a result, inmates at the prison who had hearings at court did not appear in court today. The jailers had agreed to return to work this evening following discussions under the patronage of the Commissioner General of Prisons.
Jailers at the Colombo Remand, Magazine and Walikada prison staged a sick note campaign and did not turn up to work today. Their primary demand was the immediate cessation of ad hoc transfers of jailers. As a result of the jailers' strike, inmates were unable to attend hearings at the Hulstorf Court Complex and other surrounding courts in Colombo. Our correspondent says that several cases were postponed as a result. Minister of Rehabilitation and Prison Reforms Chandrasiri Gajadira noted that the situation was reported to the courts and that steps are taken to obtain alternate dates.
The inmates are not being taken to court. Our parents and everyone else is in court. There is a group there and another group have brought cooked food for me on a visit. They are unable to give the food to me. That is the crime that is happening here, sir. We have decided not to take food from inside. We have decided that we will not have lunch or dinner.
Meanwhile, discussions were held with the Commissioner General of Prisons Chandaratana Pallegama this evening regarding the jailers' demands.
We have held discussions over this matter. What they did today was the last resort that they needed to do. The Department of Prisons take decisions solely based on the Establishment Code and other ordinances. These are not ad hoc decisions. They have accepted that they were given punishments like night duty.
However, the Commissioner General of Prisons also noted that steps will be taken in terms of the jailers' absence from work today in keeping with the Establishment Code.
Like the police department, our department too falls under discipline. This will be dealt with in accordance to the establishment code.
The budget for the year 2015 is to be presented to Parliament on the 24th of October. General Secretary of Parliament Dhammika Dasanayake said that the date for the budget was fixed at the party leaders' meeting today.
The appropriation bill with the estimated revenue and expenditure of the government for 2015 was presented to Parliament on the 26th of September by Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratnam. According to the bill, the funds for government expenditure for the next year has been increased by 17% compared to 2014. The number stands at 1,812 billion rupees. The Minister of Finance will provide a detailed description on the government's plan to recover the expenditure on the 24th of October. Subsequently, the budget debates will begin. Opposition parties, including the United National Party, are yet to make their stand clear on the proposed dates. In some sports news, West Indies cricket legend Sir Vivian Richards believes that the timing of calling up bowlers for their bowling action is not at all perfect. He made this comment speaking exclusively to Sports First Nadishan Midin.
I think the timing, in my opinion, haven't been that good. I guess these guys were participating in the IPL for quite some time. I'm not sure whether or not because of West Indies tour in India, or whether it's going to be a World Cup next year, whether this all have something to do with it. But I just believe the timing haven't been good, and I believe it's going to hurt West Indies cricket because, as you know, Narayan have been a mystery man, the same as Muley. So I just believe the timing has been pretty bad, in my opinion, and I'm hoping that at some point that if you're going to call, that you do so in a correct manner, and that individuals, you know, who have been on the cloud for quite some time, that you're able to do it on a much wider basis. And I just believe that it certainly have hurt West Indies cricket, because Narayan have been an individual who even I would be pretty scared playing against him. So I just believe the timing not good, in my opinion.
Speaking on Sports First special segment, The Bitter Truth, recently, former Sri Lanka Test cricket captain Arjuna Ranatunga also commented on the calling up of bowlers with allegedly suspect bowling actions.
The
ICC needs to act more intelligent regarding these matters. These players who have been banned are not newcomers. They have been playing cricket for years. I believe that what has taken place is a bad example. This also raises suspicions. The ICC has become an institution that is controlled by 3 major countries. I don't think it is wrong if someone says that these countries are working to remove the talented players from the other national teams.
Now moving back into local news, UMP Western Provincial Councillor Harshana Rajakaruna presented a motion in the council today that an appropriate and rapid program needs to be implemented to eradicate the drug menace. Let's now take a look at some of the views that were expressed in the council today.
18,743 people across Sri Lanka in 2009. This number grew to 47,926 by 2012. It has become such a problem in the Western Province that it makes up 90% of arrests. Drug smugglers were able to bring drugs to this country because of the open economy back then. These drug smugglers were not apprehended in the time of the UNP government. They allowed these drugs to come into the country and spread to the people. There were no drugs in the country prior to 1977. It has been clearly stated that there are political connections to the drug trade that arose in this country since 2009. It was not we who said it. The Deputy Minister said that it is coming via Nigambo. These are not UNPers. When the STF came to raid Minister Nimal Lansa's premises, it was the President that protected him.
When pointing the finger at someone, it is necessary to do it with responsibility. The IGP's media spokesperson, speaking on the injustice done to me, told all the media the very next day that there was no accusation against Minister Nimal Lansa and that they had come there on a tip-off. You know that they came to my house on a tip-off even though I was a minister. This shows that the law is being implemented in the country 100%, unlike under your regime. This is not something I said. This is what Sarath Kumar Gunaratne from your government said. He said the godfather of Negombo. The godfather is the head of a drug racket. We must all speak about this proposal. You know that by 7 p.m. tonight, everything that was said here will be telecast on television. No matter which channel it is, it will be aired, and that channel will reveal to the entire country that this is the status of the Western Provincial Council. In the past, when children went to school, their parents expected them to be competitive and to perform well in their examinations. What do they dread today? They dread that when their child is returning from school, the drug demon will swallow them. This has become a country where the priority is not to educate children, but save them from drug peddlers. When speaking on this topic, the Kolonnawa electorate is a factor that consistently comes up. Personally and as a party, we have initiated a major program to eradicate drugs in the Kolonnawa electorate. Honourable Minister, after Kolonnawa, the biggest problem is in Dompe. Drugs are being given to even school children in Dompe, and that is why I believe my colleague has put forward this motion.
Moving on to some international news now. The Karnataka High Court today refused to suspend the sentence imposed on AIADMK Chief and former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha, and her 3 aides in the disproportionate assets case and refused to order their release on bail.
The order by Justice A.V. Chandrasekhara came after Special Public Prosecutor Bhavani Singh told the court that he had no objection to granting conditional bail to Jayalalitha, who is in prison since her conviction by the Special Court on September 27th.
Hours after this development, speaking to News First, Senior Supreme Court Advocate Ram Jethmalani said that his client will challenge the verdict in Supreme Court.
Justice A.V. Chandrasekhar, who presided, passed the interim order rejecting the pleas of all the 4 convicts for suspending the sentence imposed on them till their appeal against conviction is decided by the High Court. The High Court also refused to release them on bail. A special court on the 27th of September sentenced Jayalalitha, her close aide Sasikala, V. Sudhakaran and J. Elavarasi to 4 years imprisonment while imposing exemplary fine on them. Senior Supreme Court Advocate Ram Jethmalani represented Jayalalitha's case along with the defence team. Celebrations by the party cadre fizzled out after initial media reports that Jayalalitha had been granted bail turned out to be incorrect. Tight security was in place around the High Court complex, with police anticipating a rush of AIADMK supporters and leaders. In his order, pronounced in a packed courtroom, the judge said there are no grounds to give bail to the former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and observed that corruption amounts to violation of human rights and leads to economic imbalance.
Jayalalitha's lawyers, headed by Ram Jethmalani, have said that they will appeal in the Supreme Court against the denial of bail. Sources said they could move to the top court tomorrow. Jethmalani did not seek bail today on grounds of Jayalalitha's health. He argued on technical points, citing precedent in past cases and even quoted Oscar Wilde. The 66-year-old AIA-DMK chief, a former movie star, has a cult following in her state and is renowned for distributing free laptops, jewelry and fans to voters. Jayalalitha has been in jail for 9 days now.
Back to news here at home. Harin Fernando was sworn in as the opposition leader of the UVA Provincial Council today before UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe. The swearing-in was held at the UNP headquarters, Sirikotha.
UNP councillors elected to the UVA Provincial Council took oaths before party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe today at Sirikotha. Mayor of Bandarawela Chaminda Vijay Siri was appointed as the chief organizer of the Bandarawela electorate, while J.M. Ananda was appointed the organizer of the Ratkama electorate, parallel to the swearing-in of the provincial councillors.
The UMP has become the main anti-government force today, and that happened here. Obtaining 40% of the vote means achieving that position. But it is not for us alone to chase away the Rajapaksa regime. We must unite all forces, outside forces and forces in the government as well. Even now, several political parties and civil society groups have reached agreement and are working on this. The basis is to abolish the executive presidency and implement the 17th Amendment. There are plenty of people to work on this. There is only one candidate to take up the responsibility and work towards the presidential election. Since the entire country is one electorate, we can move towards this.
Meanwhile, ahead of a UN review of Sri Lanka's human rights record, Amnesty International in a press release says that Sri Lanka must stop making empty promises to the international community and the Sri Lankan people on improving the country's still desperate human rights situation.
The UN Human Rights Committee in Geneva, Switzerland is reviewing Sri Lanka's respect for rights enshrined in the key human rights treaty, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights or ICCPR, today and tomorrow. This is the first such assessment since 2003. David Griffiths, Amnesty International's Deputy Asia Pacific Director, said that it's disturbing to see how many rights issues raised during the last committee review of Sri Lanka's record in 2002, more than a decade ago, still persist in the country and how the government has ignored promises to address them. Griffiths adds, quote, Sri Lanka still relies on draconian laws to silence dissent. Torture and enforced disappearances continue unchecked, as do violations of freedom of expression and association. On top of that, Sri Lankan authorities must now answer for escalating attacks against religious minorities, unquote.
Religious programs were held yesterday and today to commemorate the third death anniversary of the late Bharata Lakshman Premachandra.
An all-night Pirit ceremony commenced yesterday parallel to the commemoration of the life of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra. President Mahinda Rajapaksa also participated in this ceremony. An almsgiving was held this morning invoking blessings on the late Bharata Lakshman Premachandra.
Staying with local news, fishermen protested today against the drawing of high-voltage electricity cables across the Putlam Lagoon. The fishermen charged that the high-voltage electricity cables pose a threat to their lives.
The electricity that is generated from the third phase of the Noracholi power plant is moved to Anuradhapura through the high-voltage cables that have been drawn across the Putlam Lagoon. The erection of poles for this purpose has already been completed, and what remains is the placement of the electricity cables. The protesters who gathered at the Putlam Lagoon demanded that the move be stopped.
They have commenced placing the electricity poles from within the lagoon. On one hand, they have not even received the environmental permits for this. No assessment has been carried out by the Central Environmental Authority or other environmental bodies.
Over 5,000 fishing families rely on the lagoon for their livelihoods.
This has posed a threat to the lives of the people who live around the lagoon. I peacefully urge that the 5,000 people living here not be sent to their death.
Our correspondent said that the fishermen were engaged in the protest until this evening.
You are watching News First, and up next is our special segment, Newsline.
They are not letting us go where we need to go. I am not going to jump and reveal anything. If I try to reveal those names, I will not be able to remain here.
Are there fours within the party?
Of course, what has happened now is not that I have been distanced from the Rajapaksas. Small barriers are being put in place.
Who is placing these barriers?
I will reveal it when the time is right. Even tourist birds are ahead of us today.
If an advisor carries out an assault, what would happen?
I am hit, I will hit back. Even if they frown at me, I will hit back. Since I have to serve the people a bit more, I need to think before I jump.
You are holding some sort of instrument in your hand. What is it?
If you wish to rise to high places, you must look at this and recite a mantra.
Do you believe that this will empower you to rise to the highest position?
You will feel a change now. It is truly possible.
Minister Mervyn Silva says that if needed, he will contest even a presidential election.
No, do not put me in a difficult position. If there is a time when the Rajapaksas are not there, if they do not contest for these positions, then the only suitable candidate in Wohuna, in the entire south, is Mervyn Silva.
Moving into tonight's business news, Minister Partali Champika Ranawaka says the expenses of the people have doubled in comparison to their income over the past 6 years. He made this statement at an event held at the BMICH in Colombo today. The minister added that there are several other economic problems that require attention.
The event was organised to mark the launch of a new investment framework for national research and development, including necessary reforms to transform Sri Lanka into a high-income country. The framework, compiled by the Ministry of Technology and Research, covers 10 sectors, including food, health and energy. The growth of the people's real income over the past 6 years was about 3%, but real expenditure grew by 6.7%. That is how the cost of living crisis has evolved. At the same time, the 20% earning the lowest income have 4% of the national income, while the richest 20% have 52% of the national income. Thus, a major wealth gap has been created among the people. Although poverty has reduced to 6.7%, only a small proportion of the poor are able to face issues like food security, national crises and environmental crises. Unemployment has reduced to 3.7%, but unemployment is high among the educated youth. Unemployment in the 20 to 24 age group is about 20%. It is about 10% among students who have passed the advanced levels. These social problems too are challenges we must overcome in the future. Thereby, as much as we need to increase national income, we need to relieve pressures on the people and conserve the environment. It is our belief that we can do this by progressing towards an innovation-driven, knowledge-based economy.
Productivity movements all over the world have taken countries forward. For us, productivity is another ministry. I don't think that should be the case. Productivity is an area where you need to take very seriously. Are we using our resources in the best way possible? That's a very simple understanding of productivity.
Political stability is very important, and you find that in many countries the economy is faltered and struggle when political stability is not there. So ensuring that political stability is maintained and the policy consistency is maintained is also another important factor if you have to move forward seamlessly.
Sports news tonight, Maristella College Negombo won the overall championship in the boys all-island school athletics meet.
Meanwhile, Sumana Girls School in Ratnapura won the girls championship.
The All-Islands School Athletic Meet was worked off at the Sugdadasa Stadium in Colombo over a period of 5 days. The meet attracted around 4,900 athletes from different schools. The event came to a close today. 19 records were broken at the meet organized by the Ministry of Education. Roshan Dhammika from Kularatna Central College, Godakavela, was adjudged the best male athlete of the meet. He set a new meet record in the high jump event. EP Kaushalya Madhushani was awarded the best female athlete at the meet. She set a new meet record in the 400-meter hurdles event representing Kuliapitiya Central College. Maristella College secured a total of 185 points and won the boys' overall championship trophy. Scoring 150 points, Sumana Balika College won the girls' overall championship. The Western Province won the overall challenge trophy, while the Northwestern Province was adjudged runners-up.
Well, Nikki, from an athletics meet to a different kind of sport, it's Skippy versus Skippy, as two boxing kangaroos were captured on camera having a street fight in a suburban street on the Central Coast in New South Wales, Australia. Two male roos were captured slogging it out in an epic brawl that lasted several minutes.
We'll leave you tonight with this entertaining footage. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola D'Souza.
And I'm Madhushka Balasuriya.
Take care and good night.
And enjoy.